How's it going, everybody? My name is Release Radar, and in today's video, we ask the question, is the ROG Ally still worth it in 2025? Let's get into it. But before we get into the rest of the video, I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, ProCase. And they were kind enough to send over their protective flip case from 2021 for the Steam Deck. Works on the Steam Deck OLED as well, which is the model that I have right here. And it's a super convenient case that literally can just flip closed. And if you're gaming and this is bothering you, it's magnetic. You can just take it off like that. I didn't mean to toss it off, but it comes off super easily. And it still actually has the shell of the case around the device as well, leaving space for ventilation. And you can even still attach other accessories to the Steam Deck, like this battery pack that I have right here with the case on it. And as you can see, I have both the case and the battery pack on the Steam Deck. It still has room for ventilation here at the top, so my Steam Deck is extra protected. Still has room for other accessories. This case is awesome. You can check out their website, which I'll put on screen and down below in the description. And I even have a discount code available for you guys. I'll put that up on screen as well. Go check out ProCase. They have some awesome accessories for the Steam Deck and Nintendo Switch, as well as various other products. Thank you to ProCase for sponsoring this video, and let's get into the content. And right off the rip here at the front of the video, I'll say, admittedly, I don't use my ROG Ally as much as the Steam Deck. And I think that there's a couple reasons as to why. Yes, this is more powerful. I have the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. This is not the X, obviously, and it's not the Z1 that looks about the same as this device. I don't have any experience with any other ROG except for the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. I don't like the Windows experience in handheld mode. Now, thankfully, and this is something I might do in the future, SteamOS is available to download and put on pretty much any device. I'm pretty sure there's still some weird issues with FPS on SteamOS on a device like the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to wait until that OS matures to put it on this device. And when I do, I can see myself using it a lot more. But Windows on handheld has its blessings, like you can play more games that have anti-cheats that just straight up won't work on the Steam Deck, like Call of Duty, for example, without having to dual boot Windows onto the Steam Deck. And a lot of people, myself included, haven't done that. I don't really have any desire to put Windows on the Steam Deck because, as I've already said, I don't enjoy the Windows handheld experience. The only real benefit to Windows on handheld is the ability to play games that just straight up won't work because of anti-cheat on Linux through SteamOS. But I don't use this device as often. And the Windows experience in handheld is one of the main reasons as to why that is, but it's not the only reason. And another issue that I have with the ROG Ally just compared to the Steam Deck is these grips just aren't it. Look at how just little there is to this right here. Like that's the whole grip. Meanwhile, with the Steam Deck, now granted I have a case on this thing, but like, look at that. Look at the difference in the grip profile between this and the ROG Ally. This is comfortable to hold. And even with all of this extra weight on the back of it, with the battery pack and the case on the device, it is still extremely comfortable to hold the Steam Deck. So I think that you would want your handheld device to be comfortable to hold in your hands. And I said the same thing during my Steam Deck video, but I think that the ROG Ally grips just aren't comfortable. And if you're buying a handheld, you're probably going to be using it in handheld mode more than you are docked, because I would imagine if you're buying a Steam Deck, you probably already have a gaming PC. Or if you're buying an ROG Ally, you probably already have a gaming PC, right? I think of these devices as either great entry points into PC gaming or great companion devices to PC gaming, because you don't have to rebuy your Steam games to play them on the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck. You just sign into your Steam library and bam, all your games that would run on this are here. You don't have to buy them again like you would on a Switch or a Switch 2. So that's a huge benefit to both of these devices, but you would want your handheld to be comfortable to hold in your hands. And just look at the difference in the grip profile between, this is hard to angle, but like, look at the difference in the grip profile between these two devices. Look at all that grip, look at no grip. So if you plan on using a handheld in your hands, like I would imagine most people do, you would want the handheld to be comfortable to hold. And this just simply is not as comfortable to hold as the Steam Deck. But while the grips on the ROG Ally are worse than the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally is about 50% more powerful in a game than the Steam Deck is. And it's kind of crazy to think about that. So if you just want raw performance and you don't really care too much about how comfortable it is, or you buy a case, which I'm sure cases that remedy this grip issue exist, you could buy a case, slap it on the ROG Ally, and you have 50% more performance on average per game on this device compared to the Steam Deck. And if you really do just want to throw everything at games, the gaming experience is technically better, but you also drain through the battery a lot faster. And now the ROG Ally does have a 1080p 120 hertz screen, But as somebody who's spent a decent amount of time with this device, I don't really find myself playing games in 1080p 120 hertz, because on a screen that's this size, you probably don't really need your games to be running at 1080p for them to look good. So I either do 720p or the somewhat recently introduced 900p resolution on this device, and I cap my FPS at around maybe 60 to, if I can hit 120 on the game, depending on how light the game is. But I would prefer a lower resolution and a higher frame rate all of the time. If I am playing a game and I can't hit like 100 FPS on my gaming PC, I lower those graphics settings until I can get an FPS that I want. I prefer smooth gameplay over pretty visuals. While I understand not everybody's the same way, on this device, even though it's a 1080p screen, I don't use it in 1080p that often, just because most games won't run at 1080p 120 FPS on this device that fits in your hands like this. It's just not a reality for most games. Now, older games, sure, but modern games, absolutely not. But you can still get more out of modern games on this device compared to the Steam Deck if you run them at 720p 60 hertz. But you're not going to be running Cyberpunk 2077 at 1080p high settings and get 120 FPS. Even though this device is more powerful than the Steam Deck, that's just not going to happen because it's still, at the end of the day, a handheld gaming PC. Another benefit of the ROG Ally over the Steam Deck, though, which I kind of briefly touched on a little bit earlier, is that yes, you can access all of your Steam games on both devices, but the ROG Ally has access to Game Pass, the Ubisoft launcher, Epic Games, Origin, or the EA launcher, or whatever they call that now. You have access to more launchers on this than you do on the Steam Deck because you can just use this as a normal PC and go to the internet and download Game Pass and download the Ubisoft Connect launcher and download the EA launcher or Epic Games. You can play Fortnite on this easily that you can't really do that on the Steam Deck without dual booting into Windows or doing some other jank to get those anti-cheats to run. So this device just has access to more game launchers, which means it has technically access to more games. But at the same time, Windows on handheld is really just not a good experience. Now, hopefully, they remedy that with the upcoming Xbox ROG Ally, which brings me to my next talking point. With the release of the Xbox ROG Ally just around the corner later this year, hopefully, is it even still worth picking one of these up? Well, that's kind of just entirely up in the air right now, and it kind of all revolves around what the price of the ROG Xbox Ally is. We've heard rumors it could be $1,000. We've heard rumors that Microsoft could sell it at a loss to push more Game Pass subscribers. So who really knows how the ROG Xbox Ally launch is going to go today? I'm recording this at 2 a.m. on July 17th, 2025. As of right now, there's no new information that's official about pricing or when the device is going to come out. And because of that, we don't really know where the ROG Ally as it is right now, the ROG Ally, the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme, and the ROG Ally X, we don't know where those stand. Also, side note, is there going to be confusion between the ROG Ally X and the ROG Ally Xbox? Those are two different products with two very similar names. Microsoft has not been on their A game with naming their devices. Why couldn't it have just been Xbox, Xbox 2, Xbox 3? Why did it have to be Xbox, Xbox 360, the third one, the Xbox One, and then Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, Xbox One X, Xbox One S? It's all confusing. And the ROG Ally X and then the ROG Ally Xbox is just going to make it even more confusing for people who aren't in the loop like I would imagine you and I are. So the ROG Ally Xbox is putting my opinions on the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme in a weird spot because I don't know how much that device is going to cost, and this is better than the Steam Deck. So if you care about just raw graphical performance while playing games on the go, get an ROG Ally Z1 Extreme or an ROG Ally X instead of a Steam Deck. That's a pretty easy thing to do. And if you hate the Windows experience, you can put SteamOS on this now. It's an official thing that you can download from Valve. So if you hate Windows on handheld, like I kind of do, you could do that. But because I have both devices, I'm able to experience both Windows handheld and SteamOS handheld through this device without having to have it all dual booted. I can't really fully recommend the ROG Ally or the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme or the ROG Ally X because we don't know what the pricing is going to be for the Xbox ROG Ally. And that device is technically, while not called an ROG Ally 2, is an ROG Ally 2 because it's going to be using the Zen 2 Extreme processor, while this has the Zen 1 Extreme processor. And I don't fully know what the performance difference is going to be, but you would think bigger number means more powerful chip. Now, that's not always the case, but in this case, I think that it is. So The ROG Ally Xbox, which is just possibly right around the corner, puts the ROG Ally lineup as it stands today in a weird spot where if you just really want to get into handheld PC gaming right now and you got money burning a hole in your pocket and you just want to go, get an ROG Ally X or an ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. Because if you care the most about graphical performance, those devices are better. But if you already have a gaming PC and you're looking for a companion device and you really don't play that many games outside of Steam, I think that the Steam Deck is overall the better device of the two as an overall package. It feels more premium. It has good weight to it. The games on an OLED screen, especially with the Steam Deck OLED, just look better. Now, it's not a higher resolution screen and it doesn't have as high of a refresh rate, but still, realistically, for most handheld PC games, the resolution and the refresh rate of the Steam Deck is beyond fine because most games don't even hit or exceed it. So I think that the ROG Ally, where it stands right now in 2025, is just in a weird spot because of all of the unknowns surrounding the upcoming ROG Ally Xbox. So if you're just really looking to get into PC gaming, but you don't want to build a PC yet, or if you're, and I say this a lot in my videos for portables, but it's true. If you're a trucker, if you drive trucks across the country, you want a game while you have to stop and rest because you can only drive for so many miles in a day, a handheld gaming PC like the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally is a great way to kick back, relax, and unwind while you're basically on lockdown because you can only drive so many miles in a day, right? So ROG Ally is a great device. It's more powerful than the Steam Deck. It doesn't feel as premium as the Steam Deck does because Valve's engineers are just insanely good when it comes to product design. But I think that the ROG Ally is just in a weird spot. So I honestly can't fully recommend one right now because we don't know what direction the ROG Ally Xbox is going to take in terms of pricing. If the ROG Ally Xbox is $1,000, like some people say it will be, then this is cheaper than that and still better than the Steam Deck. So this would be a great happy medium. But because Xbox is having a partnership with Asus ROG, they could technically sell the console at a little bit of a loss to get those Game Pass sales up, right? So who knows what direction it's going to go with the ROG Ally lineup of devices. And because of that, I can't fully recommend an ROG Ally right now in mid-2025 because we're basically about to get the ROG Ally 2. It'll be more powerful, but we don't know how much it's going to cost. I can't fully recommend it right now in 2025 just because of the ever-looming presence of the ROG Ally Xbox. So thanks for watching this little talking ahead video. Hope you guys enjoyed. My name is Release Raider. I'll catch you guys in the next video of whatever I make. I'm going to get some rest after wrapping up this editing, and this will be up tomorrow on Friday. Peace.